Malia Carter's job interview ended in rejection, but fate had other plans. When the CEO who dismissed her ends up in her taxi on a rainy night, sparks fly. Now she has a second chance at both her dream career and an unexpected romance. Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you're watching from today. Malia Carter sat in the lobby of Harrington Enterprises, her resume clutched tightly in her hands. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat. This interview could change everything for her. At 28, she was tired of struggling to make ends meet. Her accounting degree had been hard-earned, working nights at a diner while studying during the day. This job would mean stability, a decent salary, and a chance to finally use her skills. "Mr. Harrington will see you now," said the receptionist, gesturing toward the large glass doors. Malia stood up, smoothed down her only good skirt, and took a deep breath. She had practiced for this interview for weeks. Noah Harrington's office was intimidating, all glass chrome and spectacular views of the city. The man himself sat behind a massive desk, his attention focused on the computer screen in front of him. He barely looked up when she entered. "Please sit," he said, without making eye contact. "I only have 5 minutes." Malia swallowed her disappointment. 5 minutes wasn't enough time to make her case, but she'd try her best. "Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Harrington. I've prepared your resume," Noah interrupted, finally glancing at her. "Let me see it." Malia handed it over, noticing how his eyes barely scanned the document she'd spent hours perfecting. "University of Illinois. Online program," he said, his tone flat. "No experience at any major firms." "I worked full-time while earning my degree," Malia explained. "I was the bookkeeper at Wilson's Hardware for 3 years, and I've been doing freelance accounting work for several small businesses." Noah Harrington finally looked directly at her, his blue eyes cold and assessing. "Ms. Carter, Harrington Enterprises is a Fortune 500 company. We typically hire from top business schools with in-person programs, people who have connections in the industry." Malia felt her cheeks grow hot. "My work speaks for itself. If you look at my references—" "I'm afraid you're not what we're looking for," Noah said, already turning back to his computer. "We need people who understand our corporate culture, who fit the Harrington image." Malia stared at him in disbelief. "You didn't even ask me a single question about my qualifications." Noah Harrington sighed, clearly annoyed at having his decision questioned. "I don't need to. Your resume tells me everything I need to know. Jennifer will show you out." Malia wanted to argue, to make him see that he was judging her unfairly, but the look on his face made it clear the conversation was over. She left his office with her head held high, even as tears threatened to spill. "Don't take it personally," the receptionist said kindly. "He's been like that with everyone lately." But Malia did take it personally. As she rode the elevator down, she made a promise to herself that she would never again put herself in a position to be dismissed so easily by someone like Noah Harrington. 3 months later, Malia started her shift as a taxi driver with a heavy heart. After the rejection at Harrington Enterprises, she'd applied to dozens of accounting positions without success. When her savings ran dangerously low, she'd taken the taxi job to pay the bills. It wasn't what she had planned for her life, but she refused to give up. During the day, she drove the taxi. At night, she still did freelance accounting work, building her client list slowly but steadily. "At least I'm my own boss in this car," she muttered as she navigated the busy downtown streets. The rain was coming down hard and finding fares would be easy today. She spotted a man in an expensive suit without an umbrella, looking increasingly frustrated as he tried to hail a cab. Malia pulled over, and he quickly yanked open the door, sliding into the back seat. "Thank you," he said, shaking water from his coat. "The Meridian Hotel, please. I'm already late for a meeting." Malia froze as she recognized the voice. Slowly, she turned to look at her passenger through the rearview mirror. Noah Harrington. He was typing furiously on his phone, not even looking up. He hadn't recognized her. For a moment, Malia considered asking him to get out of her taxi, but something stopped her. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was the satisfaction of seeing the great Noah Harrington soaking wet and relying on her services. The Meridian, got it, she said, pulling away from the curb. At the sound of her voice, Noah looked up sharply. Their eyes met in the rearview mirror, and she saw the exact moment recognition dawned on his face. "Ms. Carter?" he asked, clearly surprised. "That's me," Malia replied, keeping her eyes on the road. "Didn't fit the Harrington image, remember?" Noah shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I didn't expect to see you driving a taxi." "Life is full of surprises," Malia said. "Sometimes people have to take whatever job is available to pay the bills." The tension in the car was thick as they drove in silence for several blocks. Malia could feel Noah watching her, and it made her skin prickle. Finally, he spoke. "I may have been hasty in my assessment of you." Malia almost laughed. "You think? You spent all of 2 minutes looking at my resume before deciding I wasn't good enough." "I apologize," Noah said, sounding genuinely contrite. "Things at the company were complicated at that time." "And they're not complicated now?" Malia asked. Noah sighed. "They're always complicated, but that's no excuse for how I treated you." Malia wasn't sure what to make of his apology. It seemed sincere, but it didn't change her situation. "Well, thanks for the apology," she said, "but it doesn't exactly help me now." They arrived at the Meridian Hotel, and Malia pulled up to the entrance. Noah paid the fare but didn't immediately. "Get out of the taxi. Are you still looking for accounting work?" he asked. Malia turned to face him. "I'm always looking for accounting work. That's what I'm qualified to do." Noah pulled out a business card and handed it to her. "Call my office tomorrow. I'd like to reconsider your application." Malia stared at the card but didn't take it. "Why would I want to work for someone who judged me so quickly the first time?" Noah hesitated, then placed the card on the seat beside him. "Because I made a mistake, and I'd like to correct it. The position is still open." With that, he stepped out of the taxi into the rain. Before closing the door, he leaned back in. "For what it's worth, Ms. Carter, I admire your resilience." Malia watched him walk into the hotel, his words echoing in her mind. After he disappeared inside, she picked up the business card, tempted to throw it away. Instead, she slipped it into her pocket. Not because she planned to call him, she told herself, but because it felt good to have the choice. The next day, Malia was still thinking about Noah Harrington's offer as she started her shift. She had no intention of calling him. The man had dismissed her without a fair chance, and now he thought he could make it right with a simple apology. "He probably just feels guilty," she muttered to herself as she picked up her first passenger of the day. By noon, she had managed to push thoughts of Noah aside and focus on her work. But when she stopped for lunch at her favorite deli, she was shocked to see him waiting outside, scanning the street as if looking for someone. When he spotted her taxi, he walked straight toward it. Malia considered driving away, but curiosity got the better of her. "You didn't call," Noah said as he approached her window. "How did you find me?" Malia asked, ignoring his statement. "I called the taxi company," Noah admitted. "I told them I left something important in your car yesterday." Malia shook her head in disbelief. "That's borderline stalking, Mr. Harrington." "It's persistence," Noah corrected. "Something I've been told you have in abundance." Malia raised an eyebrow. "Who told you that?" "I did some checking," Noah said. "Spoke with the owner of Wilson's Hardware. He said you're the most detailed and hard-working bookkeeper he's ever had." Malia was surprised. "You called my references?" Noah nodded. "I should have done that 3 months ago." "Well, it's too late now," Malia said, though she couldn't help, feeling a small spark of satisfaction that he'd gone to the trouble. "It doesn't have to be," Noah insisted. "The position is still open, and after reviewing your qualifications properly, I believe you're more than capable." Malia studied his face, trying to determine if he was sincere or just trying to ease his conscience. "Why the change of heart?" she asked. "Really?" Noah hesitated, then responded with unexpected honesty. "Because in 2 minutes of conversation in your taxi, I saw more character and determination than I've seen in most candidates who went to fancy schools." Malia wasn't sure how to respond to that. "Have lunch with me," Noah said. "Let me tell you about the position properly this time." Every instinct told Malia to say no to protect herself from another disappointment, but the practical side of her knew this opportunity could change her financial situation completely. 1 hour, she agreed, and I'm still not saying I'll take the job. Noah smiled for the first time, and Malia was surprised by how it transformed his face, making him look younger and more approachable. 1 hour is all I ask, he said. Lunch with Noah Harrington was nothing like their first meeting. He arrived prepared with details about the position, the salary, which was double what Malia had hoped for, and specific questions about her experience that showed he'd actually read her resume this time. So why didn't you look at my qualifications? This carefully the first time? Malia asked as they finished their meals. Noah's expression grew serious. Honestly, it was a difficult time at the company. My father had just stepped down as CEO, and there was enormous pressure to prove I deserved the position. I was trying to do things the way he would have done them. And your father would have judged me by my online degree? Yes, Noah admitted. He's very traditional. He believes in the old networks, the right schools, the right connections. And what do you believe in? Malia challenged. Noah met her gaze. I'm starting to believe in looking beyond the surface, in giving people a fair chance to prove themselves. Malia wasn't entirely convinced. So, this job offer, is it because you actually think I'm qualified, or because you feel guilty? Both, Noah said honestly. I feel guilty for not giving you a fair evaluation, but after doing my homework properly, I genuinely believe you're qualified, more than qualified. Malia considered his words. The job would solve her financial problems and put her career back on track. But could she work for someone who had dismissed her so easily once before? I need time to think about it, she said finally. Noah nodded. Of course, take the weekend. Call me on Monday with your decision. As they were leaving the restaurant, Noah hesitated. Do you have more fares this afternoon? I'm scheduled until 6, Malia replied. Mind if I ride along? He asked. I've cleared my schedule for the afternoon. Malia stared at him. You want to ride in my taxi? Why? Because I'd like to know more about the person I'm hoping will join my company, Noah said. And I think you'd like to know more about the person you'd be working for. It was such an unexpected suggestion that Malia didn't immediately know how to respond. Part of her wanted to keep him at a distance, but another part was intrigued by this very different Noah Harrington. The meter will be running, she warned him. Noah's smile returned. I can afford it. And so Noah Harrington, CEO of a Fortune 500 company, spent the afternoon in the back seat of Malia's taxi, observing her interactions with customers and continuing their conversation between fares. By the end of her shift, Malia had learned that Noah's cold exterior masked a man who was under enormous pressure to live up to his father's legacy. And Noah had seen firsthand how Malia's intelligence and people skills made her exactly the kind of person his company needed. As she dropped him off at his office building, Noah looked directly into her eyes. I hope you'll say yes on Monday, Ms. Carter, but whatever you decide, I'm glad fate put me in your taxi yesterday. Malia watched him walk away, a mix of emotions churning inside her. She had entered the day determined to reject his offer out of pride. Now she wasn't so sure. The job was perfect. The salary was beyond her expectations, and Noah Harrington, well, he wasn't the cold, judgmental man she'd first met. There was depth there, and perhaps the capacity to change. As she drove home, Malia realized with a start that she was actually considering saying yes, not just to the job, but to the possibility of getting to know Noah better. And that realization both excited and terrified her. The weekend passed in a blur as Malia weighed her options. Her tiny apartment felt especially cramped as she paced back and forth, Noah's business card in her hand. She'd nearly called him a dozen times, only to lose her nerve at the last moment. This is ridiculous, she told herself on Sunday night. It's just a job, take the emotion out of it. But that was the problem. It wasn't just about the job anymore. After spending an afternoon with Noah in her taxi, seeing him interact with her customers, and hearing about his struggles with his father's legacy, Malia couldn't separate her feelings from the decision. When Monday morning arrived, she made her choice. She dialed the number on Noah's card, half hoping he wouldn't answer. Noah Harrington, his deep voice responded on the second ring. Mr. Harrington, it's Malia Carter, she said, her mouth suddenly dry. "Malia," Noah said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. "I was hoping you'd call." "About the job," she started, her heart racing. "I've thought about it, and I'd like to accept your offer." "That's wonderful news," Noah said, sounding genuinely pleased. "When can you start?" "I need to give the taxi company 2 weeks' notice," Malia explained. "I don't want to leave them without a driver." "Of course," Noah agreed. "That speaks to your character. 2 weeks from today, then. I'll have HR prepare the paperwork." After hanging up, Malia sat on her couch, a mixture of excitement and anxiety washing over her. Had she made the right decision? Working closely with Noah Harrington would be challenging in ways she hadn't anticipated when she'd first applied for the job. The next morning, Malia was surprised to see a familiar figure waiting at her usual taxi stand. Noah Harrington, dressed in another perfectly tailored suit, waved as she pulled up. "What are you doing here?" she asked as he slid into the back seat. "I need a ride to work," he said simply. Malia gave him a suspicious look through the rearview mirror. "There are hundreds of taxis in this city, but only one with a driver I want to talk to," Noah replied with a smile. Malia felt her cheeks grow warm. "I already accepted the job, Mr. Harrington. You don't need to keep convincing me." "Call me Noah," he said, "and this isn't about convincing you. I genuinely enjoyed our conversations the other day." As Malia drove toward the Harrington building, Noah asked about her plans for transitioning from taxi driver to corporate accountant. "I'll need some new clothes," she admitted. "My professional wardrobe is pretty limited." "The company has an allowance for that," Noah told her. "It's part of the onboarding package." Malia raised an eyebrow. "For all employees, or just the ones you pick up in taxis?" Noah laughed, a warm sound that Malia found herself wanting to hear again. "For all employees. But I'm making sure you know about it." When they arrived at the Harrington building, Noah paid the fare and added a generous tip. "Same time tomorrow?" he asked before getting out. Malia hesitated. "Why?" "Because I'd like to continue our conversation," Noah said simply. "Unless you'd rather I found another taxi." Something in his eyes made Malia's heart beat faster. "Tomorrow's fine," she agreed. Over the next 2 weeks, Noah became a regular passenger in Malia's taxi each morning. Their conversations moved from work-related topics to more personal ones. Malia learned about Noah's childhood as the heir to the Harrington fortune, the pressure he'd always felt to prove himself, and his complicated relationship with his father. In turn, she shared stories of her own upbringing. Her mother working 2 jobs to support them after her father left, her determination to earn her degree despite financial obstacles, and her dreams for the future. On her last day as a taxi driver, Noah was waiting as usual at her stand. "I have something for you," he said, handing her a small gift bag as he got into the taxi. Inside was a beautiful silver pen with her name engraved on it. "For your first day at Harrington Enterprises," Noah explained. "Every executive needs a good pen." Malia was touched by the gesture. "Thank you. I've never had anything like this." "There's a card, too," Noah pointed out. Malia opened the envelope. Hand read the handwritten note inside. "Malia, thank you for giving me a second chance. I promise you won't regret it." "Noah, I should be thanking you," Malia said, suddenly emotional, "for giving me this opportunity." Noah shook his head. "No, I'm the one who's grateful. If I hadn't gotten into your taxi that rainy day, I would have missed out on hiring an exceptional person." Their eyes met in the rearview mirror, and for a moment, neither spoke. The connection between them had grown into something neither had expected. "I should warn you," Noah finally said, breaking the silence. "Things might be challenging at first. Not everyone at the company will welcome you with open arms." Malia frowned. "Because of my background?" "Partly," Noah admitted, "and partly because you're coming in with my direct endorsement. Some people might resent that, especially..." "Especially who?" Malia pressed when he didn't continue. Noah sighed. "My cousin, Vanessa Harrington. She's our current finance director, and she's protective of her territory." "Will I be working with her?" Malia asked, suddenly concerned. "She'll be overseeing your department," Noah confirmed. "But don't worry, she's professional. Usually, Malia felt a knot form in her stomach. This was a complication she hadn't anticipated. I can handle difficult people, she assured him, though she wasn't feeling as confident as she sounded. Noah smiled. I know you can. That's one of the many things I've come to He stopped abruptly, as if catching himself. To appreciate about you. Monday morning arrived, and Malia stood in front of the mirror in her small bathroom, hardly recognizing herself. She'd spent most of her savings on a new outfit for her first day, a navy blue suit that fit her perfectly and made her feel like the professional she'd always wanted to be. The silver pen Noah had given her was tucked into her new briefcase, a talisman of sorts as she prepared to enter a world that had once rejected her. As she approached the Harrington building, she felt her confidence wavering. What if she couldn't handle the job? What if Noah's faith in her was misplaced? Ms. Carter, a familiar voice called as she reached the entrance. Noah stood by the door, looking as impressive as always in a charcoal suit. Mr. Harrington, she replied formally, aware of the curious glances from other employees entering the building. Welcome to your first day, Noah said, guiding her through the lobby. I thought I'd show you to your office personally. The elevator ride was filled with tension, not the uncomfortable kind they'd experienced in their first taxi ride, but a different tension that made Malia acutely aware of Noah's presence beside her. When they reached the executive floor, Noah led her down a corridor to a corner office with large windows overlooking the city. This is yours, he said, opening the door. Malia stared in disbelief. The office was spacious and beautifully furnished, with a modern desk, comfortable seating, area, and even a small conference table. There must be some mistake, she said. This looks like an executive office. It is, Noah confirmed. You're our new senior financial analyst, reporting directly to me and Vanessa. Malia turned to him in shock. Senior financial analyst? But I thought I was being hired as a staff accountant. Your qualifications merit the senior position, Noah explained. And after reviewing your freelance work, I realized we'd be wasting your talents in a junior role. Before Malia could respond, a sharp voice interrupted from the doorway. So this is our new analyst. A woman in her mid-30s with perfectly styled blonde hair and an expression of cool assessment stood watching them. Even without an introduction, Malia knew this must be Vanessa Harrington. Vanessa, Noah greeted her, his tone suddenly professional. This is Malia Carter. Malia, this is Vanessa Harrington, our finance director. Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes as she extended a manicured hand. Welcome to Harrington Enterprises, Ms. Carter. Noah has told us so much about your unconventional background. Malia shook her hand firmly. Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you. Noah, Vanessa said, turning to her cousin, the board is waiting for our quarterly presentation. We should go. Noah nodded, then turned back to Malia. Get settled in. Your assistant Tom will be here shortly to show you around and introduce you to the team. After they left, Malia sat down at her new desk trying to process everything. From rejected applicant to senior financial analyst with a corner office in just a few weeks, it felt surreal. By lunchtime, Malia's head was spinning with information. Tom, her assistant, and how strange it was to have an assistant, had introduced her to the financial team, shown her the company's systems, and provided her with stacks of reports to review. Ms. Carter? Tom knocked on her open door. Mr. Harrington asked if you'd join him for lunch. Malia looked up from the quarterly report she'd been studying. Which Mr. Harrington? Noah, Tom clarified with a small smile. He's waiting in his office. Noah's office was even more impressive than hers, with a panoramic view of the city and furnishings that spoke of old money and power. What do you think so far? Noah asked as she entered. It's overwhelming, Malia admitted. I didn't expect a corner office or an assistant. You deserve them, Noah said simply. I've arranged lunch in the private dining room. I thought it might be easier than facing the executive cafeteria on your first day. The private dining room turned out to be an elegant space with a table set for two and a waiter standing by to serve them. This isn't how most new employees spend their first day, Malia observed as they were seated. Most new employees haven't had the CEO ride in their taxi for 2 weeks, Noah pointed out with a smile. As they ate, Noah explained more about the company's financial structure and the projects he wanted her to focus on. "You're giving me a lot of responsibility," Malia noted. "Aren't you worried I might not be up to it?" Noah looked at her intently. "Not for a second. I've seen how you work, how you think. You're exactly what this company needs. Someone who sees things differently." The conviction in his voice made Malia believe him, at least for a moment. "Vanessa doesn't seem to agree," she said, remembering the finance director's cold reception. Noah sighed. "Vanessa expected to choose her own analyst. She's territorial." "Why did you override her?" Malia asked. Noah hesitated. "Because I believe in you, and because the company needs fresh perspectives, not just more of the same." There was something in his expression that suggested there was more to it, but before Malia could press him, the door opened and Vanessa herself walked in. "I thought I might find you here," she said to Noah, ignoring Malia completely. "We need to discuss the Morgan account before the meeting this afternoon." "I'm having lunch with Malia right now," Noah replied, his tone firm. "We can discuss the Morgan account afterward." Vanessa's eyes narrowed slightly. "Of course, don't let me interrupt your orientation." The way she emphasized the last word made it sound like an accusation. After she left, an uncomfortable silence fell between them. "I'm starting to think accepting this job might complicate things for you," Malia said finally. Noah met her eyes. "Directly. I knew exactly what I was doing when I offered you the position. Don't worry about Vanessa or anyone else, just do what you do best." His confidence in her was both flattering and intimidating. Could she really live up to his expectations? By the end of her first week, Malia was exhausted but exhilarated. The work was challenging and exactly what she'd always wanted to do. She'd spent hours poring over the company's financial reports, already identifying areas for improvement. But it hadn't been easy. Vanessa had made it clear that she considered Malia an outsider, assigning her the most tedious tasks while excluding her from important meetings. Noah, on the other hand, had stopped by her office each day, checking on her progress and making sure she had everything she needed. His attention was flattering but also attracted notice from other employees. "The boss seems to have taken a special interest in you," Tom remarked casually as he brought in more files on Friday afternoon. Malia tensed. "Mr. Harrington wants the company to succeed. He's making sure I have what I need to do my job effectively." Tom's knowing smile suggested he wasn't entirely convinced, but he didn't press the issue. Just as Malia was preparing to leave for the weekend, Noah appeared at her door. "How was your first week?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe in a way that made him look more approachable than his usual CEO persona. "Challenging," Malia admitted, "but good. I'm learning a lot." "Any problems with Vanessa?" Malia hesitated. "Nothing I can't handle." Noah nodded, seeming to understand what she wasn't saying. "I have tickets to the symphony tomorrow night. They're doing Beethoven's Fifth. Would you like to join me?" The invitation caught Malia off guard. This wasn't about work. This was personal. "Is that appropriate?" she asked carefully. "Given that you're my boss?" Noah's expression grew serious. "Technically, Vanessa is your direct supervisor. I'm the CEO of the company." "That doesn't really answer my question," Malia pointed out. Noah took a step into her office, closing the distance between them. "Malia, I've enjoyed getting to know you these past few weeks. I'd like to continue that outside of work. But if you're uncomfortable with the idea, I understand." Malia found herself torn. She'd be lying if she said she wasn't attracted to Noah. Their morning taxi rides had become the highlight of her days, but dating the CEO of the company where she'd just started working seemed like a recipe for disaster. "I enjoy your company, too," she admitted. "But I've worked too hard to get here. I don't want people thinking I got this job for any reason other than my qualifications." Noah nodded slowly. "I respect that. The invitation stands as a friend, if nothing else. Think about it." After he left, Malia sat at her desk, conflicted. Part of her wanted to accept his invitation, to see where this unexpected connection might lead. But another part, the practical side that had gotten her through so many difficult times, warned her to be careful. She was still considering what to do when her phone chimed with a text from Noah. "No pressure. But I'll be holding a ticket. For you just in case. 8 p.m. Symphony Hall." Malia stared at the message, a smile forming despite her reservations. The man was nothing if not persistent. Saturday evening found Malia standing in front of her closet, debating for the 100th time whether she should go to the symphony. She'd never been to such an event before and didn't even own anything appropriate to wear. A knock at her apartment door interrupted her thoughts. When she opened it, she found a delivery man holding a large box. "Delivery for Malia Carter," he announced. Inside the box was a stunning emerald green dress with a note. "In case you decide to come. No expectations, no strings attached. Just a gift from a friend who hopes to see you tonight. Noah." Malia stared at the dress, her heart racing. It was beautiful, exactly her size, and looked expensive. Too expensive. She picked up her phone and dialed Noah's number. "I can't accept this," she said when he answered. "Why not?" Noah asked, sounding genuinely curious. "Because it's too much," Malia explained. "I don't want to feel obligated." "There's no obligation," Noah assured her. "I just thought you might like something nice for the symphony. If you'd rather not come, or if you'd prefer to wear something else, that's completely your choice." Malia looked at the dress again. It was exactly the kind of dress she would have chosen for herself if money were no object. "I've never been to the symphony before," she admitted softly. "Then it would be my honor to take you to your first one," Noah replied. After hanging up, Malia tried on the dress. It fit perfectly, making her feel elegant and confident. Looking at her reflection, she barely recognized herself. Or rather, she recognized the woman she'd always wanted to be. Before she could change her mind, she texted Noah, "I'll meet you there, and thank you for the dress." As she prepared to leave, Malia tried to tell herself this wasn't a date. They were just friends, colleagues enjoying a cultural event together. But the fluttering in her stomach told a different story. What she couldn't know was that across town, Noah Harrington was experiencing the same nervous anticipation, checking his watch repeatedly as he waited for 8 p.m. to arrive, hoping that Malia would indeed decide to join him. Symphony Hall was grand and intimidating, with its ornate ceiling and crystal chandeliers. Malia stood nervously at the entrance, feeling out of place despite the beautiful dress. All around her, people in expensive clothes chatted comfortably, clearly at ease in surroundings she found overwhelming. "You came," a familiar voice said. And behind her, Malia turned to see Noah looking more handsome than ever in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. His eyes widened slightly as he took in her appearance. "The dress is perfect on you," he said softly. Malia felt her cheeks warm. "Thank you for sending it, though I still think it was too much." "It was worth it," Noah replied, offering his arm. "Shall we?" Their seats were in a private box with an excellent view of the stage. As they settled in, Malia couldn't help noticing the curious glances from people in nearby boxes. "People are staring," she whispered. Noah smiled. "That's because you look stunning. Or because they're wondering why Noah Harrington is with someone they don't recognize from the social pages," Malia countered. "Let them wonder," Noah said, his eyes never leaving her face. "I'm exactly where I want to be." When the music began, Malia was transported. She'd never experienced anything like it, the power of the orchestra, the sweeping emotions of Beethoven's masterpiece. Without thinking, she reached for Noah's hand during a particularly moving passage. He intertwined his fingers with hers, and they sat like that for the remainder of the performance, connected in a way that felt both new and somehow familiar. After the concert, Noah suggested dinner at a small Italian restaurant away from the theater district, "Somewhere we can actually talk," he explained, "without an audience." The restaurant was cozy and intimate, with candlelit tables and a menu in Italian. Malia would have felt intimidated if not for Noah's relaxed demeanor. "So, what did you think of your first symphony?" he asked as they sipped wine. "It was incredible," Malia admitted. "I've never heard anything so powerful." Noah smiled, clearly pleased by her reaction. "Music was my first love. Before business, before everything else. I played cello for years." Malia tried to picture Noah as a young boy with a cello. "Why did you stop?" My father didn't see the point, Noah said, his expression darkening slightly. He said a Harrington needed to focus on business, not frivolous pursuits. That's sad, Malia said. Following your passion isn't frivolous. Noah looked at her with appreciation. That's what I love about you, Malia. You see things so clearly. To the key. Word love hung between them, though Noah had clearly meant it casually. Still, it created a moment of tension that Noah quickly diffused by ordering dessert for them to share. As they ate tiramisu, the conversation flowed easily between them. Malia found herself laughing more than she had in years, while Noah seemed to relax completely for the first time since she'd met him. I haven't enjoyed an evening this much in a very long time, Noah confessed as they left the restaurant. Neither have I, Malia admitted. Noah's driver was waiting with the car, ready to take Malia home. The ride to her apartment was filled with attention that neither of them addressed directly. When they arrived, Noah walked her to her door. Thank you for tonight, Malia said, suddenly shy. For the dress, the symphony, dinner, everything. Noah stood close to her, his eyes intense in the dim hallway light. I should be thanking you for giving me a chance after our rocky start. Malia felt her heart racing as Noah leaned slightly closer. Was he going to kiss her? And if he did, what would that mean for her position at Harrington Enterprises? Before either of them could decide, the door of the next apartment opened and an elderly neighbor emerged, breaking the moment. Good night, Malia, Noah said, stepping back. I'll see you on Monday. Malia watched him walk away, a mixture of relief and disappointment washing over her. As she entered her apartment, she knew that whatever was happening between them had just become a lot more complicated. Monday morning brought a stack of memos from Vanessa, all requiring immediate attention. It was clear that the finance director was testing Malia, piling on work to see if she would break. She's assigned you the Patterson audit, Tom asked incredulously when he saw the workload. That's a nightmare. The files are a mess, and the deadline is Friday. Malia took a deep breath. Then I'd better get started. She worked through lunch, barely noticing when Tom brought her a sandwich. By mid-afternoon, she had sorted through half the Patterson files and was beginning to see discrepancies that concerned her. A knock at her door pulled her attention away from the spreadsheets on her screen. Noah stood there, looking worried. You missed lunch, he said, entering and closing the door behind him. I'm swamped with the Patterson audit, Malia explained, gesturing to the files scattered across her desk. Noah frowned. Vanessa assigned you Patterson. That account is a disaster. The previous analyst spent months trying to make sense of it. I'm starting to see why, Malia said. There are inconsistencies in their reporting, numbers that don't add up. Noah moved closer, looking at her notes. What kind of inconsistencies? Malia showed him the patterns she'd identified. See these. Transfers. They're being reported as operational expenses, but they don't match any of the vendor contracts, and they all go to the same offshore account. Noah's expression grew serious. That could be tax evasion or worse. I need more time to be sure, Malia cautioned, but something definitely isn't right. Noah studied her work with growing admiration. You found this in one afternoon. The last analyst missed it completely. Malia shrugged. I'm good with numbers. Always have been. You're extraordinary with numbers, Noah corrected. He hesitated, then asked, Did you enjoy Saturday night? The sudden change of subject caught Malia off guard. Yes, very much. Would you like to do it again? Dinner this Friday? Malia bit her lip, conflicted. Saturday night had felt magical, but in the harsh light of Monday, she was acutely aware of the professional risks. Noah, I'm not sure that's a good idea, she said finally. People will talk. Let them, Noah said dismissively. It's easy for you to say that, Malia pointed out. You're the CEO. I'm the new hire with the unconventional background. If this goes wrong, it won't, Noah insisted, moving closer. You can't know that, Malia countered. And I've worked too hard to risk my career on what? Noah pressed when she didn't finish. Malia met his gaze. On feelings that might not last. Noah looked as if she'd slapped him. Is that what you think? That my interest in you is temporary? I don't know what to think, Malia admitted. Everything has happened so fast. 3 months ago, you wouldn't even give me a fair interview. Now you're sending me design addresses and taking me to the symphony. Noah ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I made a mistake when we first met. A terrible mistake. But getting into your taxi that day, it gave me a chance to see the real you. And every day since then, I've only become more certain that you're someone special. His words made Malia's heart race, but she forced herself to be practical. I need to establish myself here first, to prove myself based on my work, not because the CEO has a special interest in me. Noah was quiet for a moment, considering her words. You're right, he finally said. Your reputation here matters. I respect that. He moved toward the door, then turned back. But this conversation isn't over, Malia. Just postponed. After he left, Malia tried to refocus on the Patterson files, but her mind kept drifting back to Noah's words. The intensity in his eyes when he called her someone special had stirred something inside her, something both thrilling and terrifying. By Friday, Malia had completed the Patterson audit, documenting all the irregularities she'd found. The evidence pointed to deliberate misrepresentation of funds, possibly to hide money from tax authorities. You should present this to Vanessa right away, Tom advised when Malia showed him her findings. Malia nodded, gathering her notes. I'll go, now. Vanessa's office was larger than Malia's, with awards and certificates covering one wall, constant reminders of her achievements and status in the company. Ms. Carter, Vanessa said coolly when Malia entered, I assume you've completed the Patterson audit? Yes, Malia confirmed, placing her report on Vanessa's desk. And I found some serious irregularities that I think require immediate attention. She explained her findings, pointing out the pattern of suspicious transfers and misreported expenses. As she spoke, Malia noticed Vanessa's expression shifting from dismissive to concerned. You found all this in 1 week? Vanessa asked when Malia finished. The patterns were fairly clear once I reorganized the data, Malia explained. Vanessa studied the report for several long moments before looking up. This is thorough work. Coming from Vanessa, it was high praise indeed. Thank you, Malia said. What's our next step? Should we alert the compliance team? Vanessa closed the file. I'll handle it from here. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Something in her tone made Malia uneasy. Will you need me for the follow-up investigation? That won't be necessary, Vanessa said, dismissively. I'll take care of it. Malia hesitated, reluctant to leave the matter entirely in Vanessa's hands. I'd be happy to assist. I've already built the models to track the suspicious transactions. I said I'll handle it, Vanessa repeated, her tone hardening. You can move on to the Johnson account. Tom has the files. Feeling dismissed, Malia returned to her office, troubled by Vanessa's reaction. She'd expected at least some discussion of her findings, perhaps even acknowledgement of their significance. How did it go? Tom asked when she returned. I'm not sure, Malia admitted. She said she'd handle it, but something felt off. Tom lowered his voice. Between you and me, Vanessa was responsible for bringing in the Patterson account last year. Here's one of her biggest wins. Suddenly, Vanessa's reaction made more sense. If there was financial misconduct at Patterson, it would reflect poorly on her judgment in bringing them on as clients. I should tell Noah, Malia decided. Tom looked alarmed. Going over Vanessa's head, that's risky. Malia knew he was right, but her integrity wouldn't allow her to ignore potential fraud. I have to do what's right regardless of the politics. She was drafting an email to Noah when her phone buzzed with a text message from him. Dinner tonight? Has colleagues discussing a successful first month of work. Nothing more. Malia smiled despite herself. Noah was respecting her boundaries while still finding a way to spend time with her. It was difficult to resist his persistence. After a moment's consideration, she replied, Dinner sounds good, but I have something important to discuss. Noah's response was immediate. I'll pick you up at 7. Dress casual. Noah's idea of casual turned out to be a private chef preparing dinner for them on the rooftop terrace of his penthouse apartment. The city lights spread out below them, creating a magical atmosphere, despite the serious conversation Malia knew they needed to have. This is your idea of a casual dinner? Malia asked as they were seated at a table overlooking the skyline. Noah smiled. I wanted some place where we could talk privately. about whatever's bothering you. Malia took a deep breath and explained her findings on the Patterson account and Vanessa's strange reaction. Noah listened intently, his expression growing more serious as she detailed the evidence. "You're certain about these discrepancies?" "Absolutely," Malia confirmed. "The pattern is consistent over the past 18 months. Millions of dollars diverted to an offshore account while being reported as standard business expenses." Noah was quiet for a moment, considering the implications. "I knew you were good, but I didn't realize just how good. The question is, what do we do about it?" Malia pressed. "Vanessa said she'd handle it, but I'm concerned she might minimize the problem to protect her relationship with the client." "Leave it with me," Noah said. "I'll speak to Vanessa first thing Monday morning. And Malia, thank you for bringing this directly to me. Your integrity is exactly why I wanted you at Harrington Enterprises." With the business matter addressed, the conversation turned to more personal topics as they enjoyed the exquisite meal. Noah told stories of his childhood, of summers spent at the Harrington estate, and of his complicated relationship with his father. "He always wanted me to be exactly like him," Noah explained, "to see the world as he sees it, as a series of opportunities to be exploited." "But you're not like that," Malia observed. Noah smiled sadly. "I've tried not to be, but it's hard to escape his influence entirely. That day when you first came for an interview, I was channeling my father, judging you by his standards, not my own." "And what are your standards?" Malia asked softly. Noah looked directly into her eyes. "I value intelligence, integrity, and courage, all of which you have in abundance." The intensity of his gaze made Malia's heart race. She could feel herself being drawn to him despite all her reservations. After dinner, they moved to a seating area near a fire pit, the night air cool around them. Noah sat close to Malia on the cushioned sofa, the city lights twinkling below. "I've been thinking about what you said on Monday," he said, "about needing to establish yourself first." Malia nodded. "It's important to me." "I understand that now," Noah acknowledged. "But I want to be clear about something." He took her hand in his. "My feelings for you aren't going to change, Malia. I'll wait until you feel secure in your position, however long that takes." The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable, making Malia's carefully constructed defenses weaken. "Why me?" she asked, the question that had been nagging at her for weeks. "You could have anyone." Noah's expression softened. "Because you're real. You don't care about my name or my money. You challenge me, you make me laugh, and when I'm with you, I feel like the person I want to be, not the person my father tried to make me." His words touched something deep inside Malia. Without overthinking, she leaned forward and kissed him softly. Noah responded immediately, his hand moving to her cheek, deepening the kiss with a gentle intensity that made her feel both vulnerable and completely safe. When they finally pulled apart, they were both breathless. "I've been wanting to do that for weeks," Noah admitted. Malia smiled. "Me too." "So where does this leave us?" Noah asked. "Still just colleagues." Malia considered the question carefully. "Friends," she decided. "Good friends who are exploring possibilities." Noah laughed. "I can work with that." As he drove her home later that night, Malia felt lighter than she had in years. Whatever was happening between them, it felt right in a way she hadn't expected. But as Noah kissed her goodnight at her door, a shadow of doubt crept into her mind. Could something real and lasting actually develop between two people from such different worlds? And what would happen when the glow of novelty wore off and Noah really saw how fundamentally different their lives were? These questions followed her into sleep, where dreams of possibility mixed with fears of inevitable disappointment. Monday. Morning brought chaos to Harrington Enterprises. Malia arrived to find the executive floor buzzing with tension. Tom met her at the elevator, his expression grave. "What's happening?" Malia asked. "Emergency board meeting," Tom explained in a hushed voice. "Vanessa called it first thing this morning. Something about financial irregularities." Malia felt a chill. The Patterson account. "Is Noah there?" she asked. Tom nodded. "Along with all..." The senior executives and the board members. They've been in the conference room for an hour already. Malia tried to focus on her work, but her mind kept returning to the meeting. Had Vanessa presented Malia's findings? Or was something else happening? Around noon, her phone buzzed with a text from Noah. "My office now." The terse message was so unlike Noah's usual warm tone that Malia immediately felt concerned. She hurried to his office, finding him standing by the window, his back to the door. "Noah?" she said tentatively. "What's going on?" When he turned, his expression was grim. "Vanessa presented her findings on the Patterson account to the board this morning." "My findings," Malia corrected. "Not according to Vanessa," Noah said. "She claimed she'd been investigating Patterson for months and had only recently confirmed the fraud. She made no mention of your work." Malia felt as if she'd been slapped. "She took credit for my discovery." Noah nodded. The board was impressed. With her diligence and attention to detail, she's being hailed as a hero for catching this before it became a bigger problem. "That's outrageous," Malia said, her voice shaking with anger. "I gave her a complete report with all the evidence. She did nothing but take my work and claim it as her own." Noah moved closer, his expression softening. "I know, and I tried to correct the record." "Tried?" Malia repeated. Noah sighed heavily. "Vanessa had a response ready. She said you were trying to take credit for her investigation to curry favor with me. She implied that you and I—" He hesitated. "That we what?" Malia pressed. "That we're involved," Noah finished. "And that you're using that relationship to advance yourself professionally." Malia felt sick. Exactly what I was afraid of. I denied it, of course, Noah assured her. "But the damage was done. The board is concerned about potential conflicts of interest." "This is a nightmare," Malia said, sinking into a chair. "Everything I've worked for ruined because Vanessa wants to take credit for my work." Noah knelt beside her chair. "It's not ruined. The board has asked for an independent review of the Patterson situation. They want to determine who actually identified the fraud." "And in the meantime?" Malia asked. Noah couldn't meet her eyes. "In the meantime, they've suggested that any personal relationship between us would be inappropriate given the circumstances." Malia felt her heart breaking. "So we can't even be friends now?" "Not publicly," Noah admitted. "Not until this is resolved." Malia stood up abruptly. "This is exactly why I was hesitant about getting involved with you. My professional reputation is being questioned, and your cousin is using our relationship to discredit me." "Malia, please." Noah reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "I need to think," she said. "I can't deal with this right now." She left, his office fighting back tears as she returned to her own. Inside, she found Tom waiting anxiously. "What happened?" he asked. "Vanessa took credit for my work on Patterson," Malia explained, struggling to keep her voice steady. "And she's telling the board that Noah and I are involved, suggesting I'm using him to advance my career." Tom's eyes widened. "That's low even for Vanessa." "I don't know what to do," Malia admitted. "I came here to prove myself, not to get caught in corporate politics." "Fight back," Tom said firmly. "You have the original files, your analysis, time-stamped documents, prove that you discovered the fraud, not Vanessa." Malia nodded slowly, her determination returning. "You're right. I won't let her steal my work or destroy my reputation." For the rest of the day, Malia compiled evidence of her discovery. Her initial notes, the models she had created, emails to Tom discussing her findings. By evening, she had a comprehensive timeline that clearly showed she had identified the Patterson fraud before bringing it to Vanessa. As she was finishing, she received another text from Noah. "Can we talk?" "Please." Malia hesitated, then replied, "Not tonight. I need space to figure this out." His response came quickly. "I understand, but remember, I'm on your side. Always." Malia stared at his message, wanting to believe him but unsure if their burgeoning relationship was worth the professional cost. As she left the office that night, she felt more alone than she had in years. The next morning, she arrived early, determined to present her evidence to the independent review committee. But when she reached her office, she found the door already open, and Vanessa inside, looking through the files on her desk. "What are you doing?" Malia demanded. Vanessa turned, not even pretending to be embarrassed at being caught. Just checking on the Johnson account, since you'll be busy with the review committee today. You mean the committee that's investigating whether you stole my work? Malia challenged. Vanessa's smile was cold. Be careful, Malia. You're new here. You don't want to make enemies of the wrong people. Is that a threat? Malia asked. It's advice, Vanessa replied. From someone who's been here much longer than you. Someone who knows how this company really works. She moved toward the door, pausing beside Malia. Noah may be infatuated with you now, but trust me, it won't last. And when it ends, you'll find yourself very alone here. After Vanessa left, Malia checked her files, relieved to find that her evidence was still intact. Vanessa might be threatening her, but Malia wasn't going to back down. She had worked too hard and come too far to let someone else take credit for her abilities. With renewed determination, she prepared to face the review committee, knowing that the next few hours would determine not just her future at Harrington Enterprises, but her entire career path. What she didn't know was that Noah was facing his own crisis. His father, Richard Harrington, had arrived unexpectedly at the office, demanding to know why his son was risking the company's reputation over some girl from nowhere. As Malia headed toward the conference room and Noah confronted his domineering father, the stage was set for a showdown that would change both their lives forever. Malia stood outside the conference room, clutching her folder of evidence. Inside, the review committee waited, 3 board members who would determine whether she or Vanessa had actually discovered the Patterson fraud. Her future at Harrington Enterprises hung in the balance. Ms. Carter, the assistant, opened the door. They're ready for you. Taking a deep breath, Malia entered the room. 3 serious-faced executives sat at the table, with Vanessa already seated at one end, looking confident and composed. Please sit down, said Eleanor Wilson, the head of the committee. We're here to determine the facts regarding the Patterson account investigation. Ms. Harrington has already presented her case. Malia nodded, taking her seat. Thank you for this opportunity. Ms. Harrington claims she's been investigating Patterson for several months, Eleanor continued, and that she only recently brought in a junior analyst, you, to help with some calculations. She states that the discovery was entirely her work. Vanessa smiled slightly, the picture of professional assurance. That's not true, Malia said firmly. I was assigned the Patterson audit last week. I completed the initial review independently and discovered the fraudulent transactions within my first day of work on the account. Do you have evidence to support this claim? Eleanor asked. Yes, Malia replied, opening her folder. I have my original notes, dated and time-stamped. I have the spreadsheet models I created to track the suspicious transactions, with metadata showing when they were created. And I have emails to my assistant, Tom, discussing my findings before I ever brought them to Ms. Harrington. She passed copies of her evidence to each committee member. Eleanor examined the documents carefully, while the other board members whispered to each other. Ms. Harrington, Eleanor said, turning to Vanessa, these dates clearly show that Ms. Carter identified the fraud pattern before bringing it to your attention. How do you explain this? Vanessa's composed facade cracked slightly. Those could have been created after the fact. It's her word against mine. Actually, Malia countered, the company email server timestamps cannot be altered, and the spreadsheet metadata is verified by the IT department. This isn't a matter of opinion, it's documented fact. For the first time, Vanessa looked uncertain. I've been at this company for 15 years. My reputation is beyond question. No one's reputation is beyond question when evidence suggests otherwise, Eleanor said firmly. Ms. Carter, did you share your findings with anyone else besides Ms. Harrington? Malia hesitated. Mentioning Noah could make things worse given Vanessa's allegations about their relationship. I discussed it briefly with my assistant Tom, she said. The emails I provided show those conversations. Before Eleanor could respond, the door opened and Noah entered, looking determined despite his obvious fatigue. I apologize for interrupting, he said, but there's something the committee should know. Eleanor frowned. Mr. Harrington, this is supposed to be a closed review. I understand, Noah said, But as CEO, I believe it's important that you have all the facts. He moved to stand beside Malia's chair. Ms. Carter came to me privately after presenting her findings to Ms. Harrington. She was concerned that the matter wasn't being given proper attention. Vanessa's expression darkened. Of course she went to you. Everyone knows about your special relationship. There is nothing inappropriate about our relationship, Noah stated firmly. Ms. Carter is an exceptional analyst who discovered significant fraud. She brought her concerns to me because it was the right thing to do professionally, not for personal advantage. Eleanor looked between them, clearly trying to sort out the truth. Mr. Harrington, your personal involvement complicates this matter. I'm aware of that, Noah acknowledged, which is why I've asked someone else to join us. He walked to the door and opened it. Please come in. To everyone's surprise, Tom entered, looking nervous but determined. This is Tom Davis, Ms. Carter's assistant, Noah explained. He has first-hand knowledge of the timeline. Tom nodded. Ms. Carter showed me her findings on the Patterson account the day she discovered the irregularities. She created the analysis, models herself, and identified the pattern of fraud before bringing it to Ms. Harrington's attention. Vanessa stood up abruptly. This is ridiculous. You're all conspiring against me. No one is conspiring against you, Vanessa, Noah said calmly. But the evidence clearly shows that Malia discovered the fraud, not you. Eleanor had been studying the documents carefully during this exchange. Now she looked up, her decision apparent in her expression. Based on the evidence presented, it appears that Ms. Carter did indeed identify the Patterson fraud independently and brought it to Ms. Harrington's attention. The dates on these documents are conclusive. Vanessa's face flushed with anger. This isn't over, she hissed, gathering her things and storming out of the room. After Vanessa left, Eleanor turned to Malia. Ms. Carter, the committee would like to commend you for your diligence and integrity. Your work has saved the company from potential legal issues and significant financial damage. Thank you, Malia said, relief washing over her. I was just doing my job. Well, you did it exceptionally well, Eleanor replied. We'll be noting that in our report to the full board. As the meeting concluded, Malia felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Her professional reputation had been vindicated. But what about her personal situation with Noah? Outside the conference room, Noah was waiting. Can we talk, please? Malia nodded, following him to his office. Once inside, Noah closed the door and turned to her, his expression a mixture of relief and concern. You were amazing in there, he said. I knew you would be. Thank you for supporting me, Malia replied, and for bringing Tom in. I couldn't let Vanessa destroy your career with lies, Noah said. You worked too hard to get here. Malia moved to the window, looking out at the city below. What happens now with us? Noah sighed. That's complicated. There's something I need to tell you. He hesitated. My father is here. Malia turned back to face him. Your father? The former CEO? Noah nodded. He came as soon as he heard rumors about us. He's not happy. Because of me, Malia stated, not a question. Because he's a controlling elitist snob, Noah corrected. He thinks I should be dating socialites and focusing solely on expanding the family empire, not getting involved with someone who was driving a taxi a month ago, Malia finished for him. Someone who challenges me, Noah countered. Someone who makes me want to be a better man, a better leader. Before Malia could respond, the door opened without a knock. A distinguished older man with Noah's features but none of his warmth stood in the doorway, his disapproving gaze falling immediately on Malia. So, this is her, he said coldly. The taxi driver who's causing all the trouble. Noah's expression hardened. Father, this is Malia Carter, our senior financial analyst who just saved the company millions of dollars by uncovering fraud that everyone else missed. Malia, this is Richard Harrington. Richard entered the room, ignoring Noah's introduction. The board called me, concerned about your judgment. Now I see why. He looked Malia up and down dismissively. What is this really about, Noah? Rebelling against me? Trying to prove you're different? This is about recognizing talent and integrity when I see it, Noah replied, his voice tight with controlled anger. Malia is the most qualified person for her position. And the fact that you're sleeping with her has nothing to do with it? Richard asked bluntly. Malia gasped at the crude accusation. Mr. Harrington, with all due respect, you don't get to speak, Richard cut her off. This is a family matter. That's enough, Noah said, stepping between them. You don't talk to her that way, ever. Richard looked genuinely surprised at his son's defiance. You're actually serious about this woman? Yes, Noah said firmly. I am, and if you can't treat her with respect, then we have nothing more to discuss. Richard's expression darkened. Think carefully about what you're doing, Noah. The Harrington name means something in this city. Your choice in companions reflects on all of us. I am thinking carefully, Noah replied, about what kind of man I want to be, what kind of company I want to lead. And it's not the kind that judges people by their background instead of their character and abilities. Richard stared at his son for a long moment, then turned his cold gaze to Malia. Don't get too comfortable, Miss Carter. This infatuation won't last. With that, he walked out, leaving a tense silence behind him. Malia felt shaken by the encounter. He hates me. He doesn't know you, Noah said, moving to her side. And right now, he doesn't know me either. But he'll come around eventually. Will he? Malia asked skeptically. He seems pretty set in his views. Noah took her hands in his. My father has always expected me to follow his path exactly, to make the same choices, hold the same values. This is the first time I've really stood up to him. Because of me, Malia said, I'm causing a rift between you and your family. No, Noah said firmly. This rift has been growing for years. It's about who I am versus who he wants me to be. You just gave me the courage to finally face it. Malia wasn't entirely convinced. Noah, I care about you. More than I expected to. But I don't want to be the reason your family falls apart. You're not, Noah insisted. You're the reason I'm finally being honest about what I want, who I want. He gently tilted her face up to his. And that's you, Malia. It has been since that rainy day in your taxi. The tenderness in his voice made Malia's heart race, but she still had doubts. What about the board? Vanessa, all the people who think I'm using you to advance my career. The truth will speak for itself, Noah said confidently. Your work on the Patterson account has already impressed the board. Give it time and everyone will see what I see. A brilliant, dedicated professional who earned her place here. Malia wanted to believe him, but the events of the past few days had left her feeling vulnerable and uncertain. I need some time to think. Today has been overwhelming. Noah nodded, though she could see the disappointment in his eyes. Of course, take all the time you need. The next few days were tense at Harrington Enterprises. Vanessa avoided Malia completely, while rumors circulated about their confrontation in the review committee. Noah kept his distance publicly, though his texts each night assured Malia of his support and his feelings. A week after the review, Malia received a formal letter from the board commending her work on the Patterson account and announcing her promotion to Director of Financial Compliance, a new position created specifically to address the issues she had uncovered. Tom burst into her office, waving a copy of the announcement. Director, Malia, this is huge. Malia stared at the letter in disbelief. I've only been here a month. A month in which you uncovered major fraud, stood up to Vanessa Harrington, and impressed the board, Tom pointed out. You earned this. As the news spread throughout the company, Malia was surprised by how many people stopped by to congratulate her. It seemed her reputation for integrity and competence had spread beyond her department. That evening, as she was preparing to leave, Noah appeared at her door. Congratulations, Director Carter, he said with a warm smile. Thank you, Malia replied, though I'm still in shock. Don't be, Noah said. The board made the decision unanimously. Even my father voted in favor after reviewing your work. Malia's eyes widened. Richard Harrington voted to promote me? Noah nodded. He may be stubborn and prejudiced, but he respects skill and results. Your analysis of the Patterson fraud was indisputable. What about Vanessa? Malia asked. Noah's expression grew serious. She's been reassigned to our London office. The board felt it would be best for everyone. Malia felt a wave of relief. Working with Vanessa after everything that had happened would have been nearly impossible. "So what now?" she asked. "Now," Noah said, moving closer, "we celebrate your promotion." "As colleagues, of course," Malia smiled. "Of course." They had dinner at a small out-of-the-way restaurant where they were unlikely to be recognized. Over candlelight, Noah explained how the events of the past week had changed things at Harrington Enterprises. "The board is implementing new compliance procedures based on your recommendations," he told her, "and they're reviewing all of our major client accounts to ensure there are no more Patterson situations." "That's good," Malia said, "though it means a lot of work ahead." "Work you'll be overseeing," Noah reminded her. "As a director now, not just an analyst." Malia still found it hard to believe how much had changed in such a short time. From rejected applicant to taxi driver to director, the journey seemed surreal. "I've been thinking about us," she said after a pause, "about what happens next." Noah set down his wineglass, giving her his full attention. "And?" "My promotion changes things," Malia explained. "I'll be reporting directly to the board now, not through the normal management chain, which means I'm not directly in your reporting line anymore," Noah finished, realization dawning on his face. Malia nodded. "Exactly. The conflict of interest concern is significantly reduced." Noah's eyes lit up. "So theoretically, if we were to explore a personal relationship, it would be within company guidelines," Malia confirmed with a small smile. The joy that spread across Noah's face made Malia's heart swell. He reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "Malia Carter, would you do me the honor of officially dating me? No more colleagues discussing work pretense?" Malia laughed. "When you put it that way, how can I refuse?" Noah's smile was radiant. "You have no idea how long I've waited to hear that." "Since that rainy day in my taxi," Malia teased. "Exactly," Noah confirmed, though I didn't realize it fully until later. After dinner, they walked along the riverfront hand in hand for the first time in public, no longer concerned about who might see them. "I have a confession to make," Noah said, as they stopped to look at the city lights reflecting on the water. "What's that?" Malia asked. "That day in the rain when I got into your taxi, it wasn't entirely by chance." Malia looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean?" Noah looked slightly embarrassed. "After our disastrous interview, I couldn't stop thinking about you, about how unfairly I judged you. I asked around, found out you were driving for Metro T, taxi and, well, I may have called them specifically and requested you as my driver." Malia stared at him in disbelief. "You planned our coincidental meeting?" "Not exactly," Noah clarified. "I planned to apologize, maybe offer you another interview. I didn't plan on getting caught in the rain or on feeling that connection the minute I saw you again." "You're telling me our entire relationship started because you were stalking me?" Malia asked, though she couldn't help smiling at his confession. "I prefer to think of it as persistent recruiting," Noah replied with a grin. "And it worked out pretty well, wouldn't you say?" Malia had to admit he was right. If Noah hadn't made that effort to find her again, she'd still be driving a taxi, her accounting degree gathering dust. "I suppose I can forgive you," she said, stepping closer to him, "since it led to all of this." Noah wrapped his arms around her waist. "Does that mean you're not going to charge me taxi fare anymore?" Malia laughed. "Oh, I'm definitely still charging you, plus interest." "Worth every penny," Noah murmured before kissing her under the starlit sky. 6 months later, Malia stood in her office, looking out at the city below. So much had changed since that rainy day when Noah Harrington had entered her taxi. Her department was thriving, with a team of analysts implementing the compliance programs she had designed. Her relationship with Noah had grown stronger each day, surprising those who had predicted it wouldn't last. Even Richard Harrington had grudgingly come to accept her, especially after her financial oversight had prevented another potential scandal at one of their subsidiaries. He wasn't exactly warm, but at the last family dinner, he had actually asked for her opinion on a business matter. Progress indeed. A knock at her door pulled her from her thoughts. Noah entered, looking handsome as always in his tailored suit. "Ready?" For the board meeting, he asked. Malia nodded, gathering her presentation materials. As ready as I'll ever be. You'll be brilliant, Noah assured her. You always are. They walked together toward the boardroom, no longer hiding their relationship but not flaunting it either. They had found a balance, professional colleagues during work hours, devoted partners outside the office. I have a surprise for you later, Noah mentioned as they rode the elevator. After the meeting, what kind of surprise? Malia asked, intrigued. Noah's smile was mysterious. One that involves a taxi. Malia raised an eyebrow. A taxi? Going where? You'll see, was all Noah would say it after the board meeting, where Malia's presentation on the new compliance system was met with unanimous approval. Noah led her to the street where a familiar yellow taxi was waiting. Is that? Malia began, recognizing the vehicle. Your old taxi, Noah confirmed. I arranged to rent it for the afternoon. I thought we could recreate our first real meeting. Malia laughed in delight as Noah opened the door for her. But I was the driver then. Today you're the passenger, Noah said, sliding in beside her. I'm taking you somewhere special. The taxi drove them through the city, eventually stopping at the spot where Malia had picked up Noah that rainy day, outside the Meridian Hotel. Why are we here? Malia asked as Noah helped her out of the taxi. Because this is where everything changed, Noah explained, taking her hand. Where I got a second chance to see you for who you really are. He led her into the hotel and up to the rooftop garden, which had been transformed with flowers and twinkling lights. A small table for two was set in the center, champagne already chilling in an ice bucket. Noah, this is beautiful, Malia said, taking in the romantic setting. But what's the occasion? Noah took both her hands in his expression suddenly serious. 6 months ago I got into a taxi and found the woman who would change my life. Someone who saw past my name and my position to the man I really am, or the man I want to be. Malia felt her heart racing as Noah continued. You gave me a second chance when I didn't deserve one. You challenged me to be better. You stood up for yourself even when it wasn't easy. And I fall more in love with you every day because of it. With that, Noah dropped to one knee, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Inside was a stunning diamond ring, elegant and not ostentatious, exactly Malia's style. Malia Carter, would you do me the extraordinary honor of becoming my wife? He asked, his voice filled with emotion. Of continuing this journey we started. In that taxi, tears filled Malia's eyes as she looked down at the man who had changed her life just as much as she had changed his. Yes, she whispered, her heart overflowing with joy. Yes, Noah Harrington, I will marry you. As Noah slipped the ring onto her finger and rose to kiss her, Malia marveled at how a simple taxi ride had led to this moment. She had been looking for a job that day, but had found so much more. A career, a partner, a future brighter than she had ever imagined possible. And it had all started with a one-way ticket to love. 3 months later, Malia and Noah stood hand in hand at their engagement party, surrounded by friends, colleagues, and family. Even Richard Harrington was there, having finally accepted that his son had made his choice. Are you happy? Noah asked, pulling Malia close as they shared a quiet moment away from the crowd. Malia looked up at him, her eyes shining with love. Happier than I ever thought possible. Do you ever miss driving that taxi? Noah teased. Malia pretended to consider the question. Well, I did meet some interesting people, one in particular. Handsome? Charming? Eventually realized what an idiot he'd been, Noah suggested. Something like that, Malia laughed, reaching up to kiss him. Though sometimes I think I should have charged him a higher fare. Noah's arms tightened around her. I'm still paying that fare every day, and I will for the rest of our lives. As they rejoined their guests, Malia caught Tom's eye across the room. He raised his glass in a silent toast to her happiness. So much had changed since that first disastrous interview at Harrington Enterprises. She had proven herself not just as a professional, but as a woman strong enough to stand up for what she deserved, in her career and in love. Noah squeezed her hand, drawing her attention back to him. The love in his eyes told her everything she needed to know. Their journey hadn't been smooth or conventional, but it had brought them exactly where they were meant to be. Together.